There's just been so many different kinds of disasters, natural and man-made, where you want to help others. And if that's the way you've been trained and you have the ability to do it and you're willing to go to a different part of the country, you want to be able to help. Because it could happen to you in this area, and you would hope other people would do the same.
ESAR-VHP is primarily an electronic database where there's a conglomerate of healthcare professionals that can be called on for the medical reserve purposes.
The data bank of people with professional current credentials in healthcare.
Whenever the need arises, they'll have this special pool of people to be able to pull and immediately deploy without having to sort through all the documentation. Nobody's really thinking of going around searching. They just want to be able to pull up the information ASAP and deploy.
The MRC is strictly local. ESAR-VHP gives you the ability to be deployed outside your jurisdiction.
The MRC is a local state, depending on how you've signed up. Local state asset, and ESAR-VHP is a federal asset. Conceptually, ESAR-VHP is a wonderful idea. In emergency events, pre-credentialing is critical. So knowing what the capability of the individual who's standing in front of you saying, I want to help is an important thing to do.
Certainly all of the medical profession, physicians as well as nurses, dentists, radiologists, any of the medical profession, but also technicians.
Nurses, doctors, EMS personnel, paramedics, pharmacists, everybody.
You could be a paramedic, you could be an EMT. We need nurses' aides. We need mental health professionals.
First responders, EMTs, nurses, and then doctors.
Lab technicians, phlebotomists.
Medical professionals have sort of a skill set that the general population does not have.
We can find a role for anyone. First of all, you would have to make sure that when you applied with the MRC that you ensured that you would check that box that says deploy out of county.
If they clicked the box and said they would be willing to go on a federal deployment, would be a person eligible to go to another state for an emergency.
There's no ties to us that forces us to go to these disasters or anything, but that's why it's volunteer.
You only give as much as you can. That's as much as appreciated. Everybody has different levels of commitment.
You have the opportunity to say no if you wish, but I don't think that's why volunteers join organizations like this, because they want to say yes. Any type of natural catastrophic disaster, an earthquake, tornado, any type of healthcare professional would really be able to provide assistance and care, and certainly a higher level of our standard of care than, say, a layman would.
Well, once you sign up, you do have to take some basic courses to make you a better responder.
It's important to go to those classes that the Medical Reserve Corps does provide for us that kind of explains how the whole process works, how the Medical Reserve Corps functions. We've gone to classes to know how to work at a Red Cross shelter.
They really need to be aware of what Instant Command is, what the entire NIMS, to be trained and know what Unified Command, the whole aspect, and to be trained and know exactly what kind of paperwork and what's required, and allows everybody to work together more efficiently.
If you don't know what to do, you don't know the chain of command, you don't know what the services are that you have to offer, or you're going to be lost.
It's one thing to have it written on paper that you have a plan. It's another thing to actually go through it.
The trainings really help, and I love the online trainings. My saying is you have to practice the way you play.
Drills are the best way to coordinate and get that camaraderie and that esprit de corps that you can actually depend on.
Sometimes people get very excited. Everybody wants to become involved when there's a disaster, and there's a real potential for having people join the Medical Reserve Corps for the action. Maybe they don't have the training, and maybe there's something in their background, whether it be a mental health issue, medical issue, that maybe it's not the right place for them.
I think you have to know where people have come from in order to make sure they are going where you want them to go. The people that are working with each other need to feel also safe, to feel that they're working with people that are competent so that they don't get into a situation where perhaps they're not safe. Everybody has to be safe.
To attempt to background check in the middle of a crisis is to consume energy that could be spent otherwise. Liability coverage is a gray issue. If you are deployed as a member of the MRC, you are covered by the state. It has to be appropriately activated, so the leaders of your MRC group have to make sure that they've gone through the appropriate designation.
We have been trained that you are not deployed unless your coordinator calls you and tells you you are deployed. And then at that point, once you're deployed, then we're covered under whoever is deploying us.
I have malpractice with work and I carry it privately, but as a professional, I wouldn't do anything that I didn't feel comfortable doing.
Don't go beyond your abilities. It's a very important thing to say. You might think you know, but you might be doing more harm than good. Dentists are medical doctors as well, but they probably shouldn't be dealing with, internal traumas and such like that.
As a healthcare professional, I do carry my own malpractice insurance.
What you gain from giving back is so much more than what you could possibly ever have to worry about.
Coordinating program or such would get the arrangements ready for you. Their job is to get you there. Your job is to do what you have to do while you're there.
I wouldn't have to think too much about the flight arrangements or the hotel once I got there. So much different than business travel.
When it comes to it, it's all about the heart racing. What can you do? Am I going to be able to do it right? And you're pretty much on the spotlight. But usually with programs like this, you have enough people with the same kind of commitment. If you're lucky to get sleep, you get it wherever you can. The human body is pretty resilient to those things.
There was a separate room set up for the staff, but we were laying on a mat on the floor.
If it's in a corner somewhere or on a floor somewhere, if you're dealing with the situation, you got to remember that most of these people that you're helping, are a lot worse off than you are.
I think they have to think about their general state of health, being able to walk a certain distance, being able to maybe carry a certain weight, being able to stay awake or maintain alertness for, beyond the normal, say, 12-hour period, because healthcare professionals are trained to be alert and stay vigilant long before most people will call it a day.
In an emergency, you always have a jump bag ready. Obviously, you're not going to need to look good. So toiletries and such like that, usually they provide if you're lucky. But pretty much whatever you need to basically get through the first 72 hours.
Water purification tablets and a water purifier and a dry bag. We have go packs that the MRC supplies to us that have the flashlights and the batteries and the equipment we would need.
Be prepared to be completely self-sufficient. Make believe you're going to be living in a swamp and be completely self-sufficient for at least the first week.
You are prepared to travel with your own medical needs and to be able to take care of yourself as you're trying to take care of other people.
When you commit to something like this, you can't really go, expecting you're going to be right in and out. They have administrative slots for something like that. But when you want to be in the field and down with the actual situation, you have to be ready to be there for as long as it takes.